everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 93. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody out there.
Hello, everyone, which includes Matthew.
Oh,
and
there's
there's Andreas. Hello.
Andreas. Yep.
We've got an audience of 2 right now. My counter says 3, but I think it's counting you. So
it might. Yeah.
So actually, let me look at the stats. Yeah, it's 3. Anyway, so I had an interesting experience this morning. I consider myself kind of a procrastinative, lazy person. And I kind of beat myself up over it. Like, I don't feel I'm getting enough done. I feel like I'm too tired to do anything half the time. I'm like, oh man, I should write more. I should make more videos, or I should play more video games, or I should do more stuff with the hours that I'm alive, And I'm like, I'm just procrastinative and lazy. So I had a plan today to, I'm going to get up at 7:30. Eat breakfast. I'm going to go to the gym for an 8:30 class, and I'm going to go to the store, and then I'm going to go to the bank, and I'm going to come home and do all sorts of other stuff. So wanted to get up at 7:30, so decided, okay, I'm going to go to bed at 11:30. So at least, even though it takes me hours to fall asleep, I'll be in bed laying down and resting for a full 8 hours, and that will be good. So go to bed at quarter of midnight. Didn't quite make 11:30, but 11:45, close enough. And had laid there and woke up at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, well, not making that 8:30 class. Rolled over, went back to sleep for another hour and a half. So maybe I am just tired. Maybe I work harder than I think I do, and I'm just actually really tired, and my body's like, no, you ain't getting up at 7:30. You're sleeping, buddy. You need 10 hours today.
Yeah.
So Matthew says 8:30 on a Saturday? Didn't know you were a morning person. I'm not at all. Any day of the week.
I woke up at 11 today. So.
Yeah, but 8:30 is when a boot camp at one of the gyms one of the gyms I go to has a 8:30 Saturday morning boot camp kind of class that I like attending. But yeah, I wish it were later in the day, because I hate getting up in the morning. And our instructor is always so cheerful and says, it's a beautiful morning and all of you are wonderful. I'm like, shut up. I mean, I keep it to myself. I don't actually tell her to shut up, but
yeah.
The more cheerful people are, especially in the morning, the grumpier I get. But
yeah, I'm not a morning person. Like I said, I slept until 11 this morning, and which is I could have been playing video games for 4 hours at that point if I actually got up at any reasonable amount of time. But during the week, I get up and go to work, because I have to, or I'll get fired. But I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up that early in the morning, because man, am I always tired. It's like, I'll get a Diet Dr. Pepper on my way to work, and that usually keeps me awake all day long. But if I don't get one, I'll usually end up, nodding off about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and occasionally I'll fall asleep on the couch watching TV with the kids or something when I get home from work. But I don't think I've ever figured out a good sleep schedule for me, and I go to bed at sometimes a reasonable hour. Always get up in the morning, but once Saturday rolls around, I'm like, don't wake me up until I get out of bed myself.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'll have what I just refer to as a crash. It'll be probably late afternoon, early evening, like around 5 o'clock, usually on a weekend. And I'll just be like, oh man, I'm just gonna lay down for a bit, maybe sleep for an hour or so. And I'll go lay down, and I'll wake up at like midnight 30. I'm like, oh my God, I just slept for 7 hours. What? And it's like, 1 in the morning now. It's like, what? I've just had nearly 8 hours of sleep. It's 1 in the morning. what do I do? Go back to bed for another 7 hours until it's time for breakfast? Should I eat
That's
breakfast
what I would
now?
do.
I missed dinner, so should I start cooking at 1 a.m.? It's always the weirdest thing when I
Yeah.
have that kind of a crash. But I'm also an insomniac, so while I try to make sure I'm actually in bed for 8 hours, I'm never sleeping for that long because unfortunately it takes me a long time to fall asleep. So
Yeah.
another thing I've been thinking about recently is the problems that creative people have. And
Creative people have problems?
creative people have problems. And I think creative people, and I mean anyone who, by creative person, I mean a person who creates, which should be obvious. Anyone who, whether you make YouTube videos or write music or write stuff for journalistic purposes or
Yeah.
create video games or paint pictures, whatever you do, you're a creator. um, Creators seem to have two major problems crop up. One of them is the dreaded writer's block, which
Yeah.
is either I can't think of anything to do, or, and sometimes even more frustrating, everything I think to do is garbage. So you'll try out an idea and you'll be, oh, this is crap, and you'll wad it up and you throw it in the bin, and then the bin's overflowing with with rejected ideas. So that's
Yeah.
writer's block. The other problem that creatives face is having too many ideas and either getting
You know,
frozen in shock and not knowing where to start and never starting anything because you just have too many ideas and it's overwhelming, or you try to do everything at once and you never get anything done. And
yeah.
so
Yeah, I tend to suffer from that every now and then. I'll be working on a game and I'm like, ooh, I got this other idea. Let's start working on that. And then, ooh, I
mhm.
got another idea. Let's start working on that one. And then I never get around to the one that I really need to get done. And and that's where I am right now.
Yep.
I procrastinate a lot, and that is a form of procrastination where
Yep.
you decide to stop what you're doing to do something else, even if it is in the same the same realm of activity. You're still putting off the activity you were initially trying to get done, and yeah, it's not good. Finishing things is a good thing.
Yeah, I have several YouTube scripts for YouTube videos that are in various stages of completion. I have some that are merely like ideas, some that are more fully outlined. I have some that are mostly written that and it's like, dude, pick one, finish it. Um, but it's yeah, life has gotten in the way sometimes. Work has been kind of rough. I've had to devote some of my free time to freelance so that when I actually get a chunk of free time, it's like I don't want to work on a YouTube. I just want to play video games right now or stare at
Yeah.
the wall because I'm tired. So, um,
Well,
which I found out this morning when I overslept. Oh well. I guess I'll have to make it up with a run or something tomorrow because I haven't done anything exercisey today. But I'm still sore from yesterday and the day before. So I'm like rationalizing with myself. Well, I got to give my hamstrings and calves and stuff some time to heal. Kind of like the whole I'm
yeah.
letting the dishes soak before I wash them. It's a
Yeah.
necessary part of washing dishes. You see the important multi-hour soak.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, that soaking is important.
Mhm.
You can't put that off.
Yeah. As far as video games go, yeah, I haven't played anything this week. Monster Hunter just yesterday just started the spring festival, and I
Yeah.
did pretty much just finish with Monster Hunter last week, but I'll turn it on again just to check out the spring festival. They redecorated the one of the hub areas with
Yeah.
flowers and gave some of the characters new costumes, and apparently there's fireworks at night, and all of the event quests are back for a week or so. So if you missed one of them, you can do it now. Um, so I'll probably turn it on this evening or tomorrow and take a gander at the new
Yeah.
stuff. But still haven't worked up the initiative to get back into Zelda. And
Poor Andrew.
yeah, I know. So I've been thinking it's like Yakuza 6 comes out in 2 weeks, week and a half. Maybe I should finish Gravity Rush 2, or maybe I should start another game that I think I can finish inside of a week. And
Yeah.
instead I shot a couple debut review videos this afternoon. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't played much this week either. I picked up what did I get? There was something for free on Steam, Crusader Kings 2. I got that, and I was actually gonna play that, and then got distracted, had something else come up, and didn't get around to actually playing it. But yeah, other than that, I'm just Pokemon Go and a few other things. But I did finally get around to watching Star Wars: The Last Jedi last night.
Okay. What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I liked it. All the complaints people had about it, I'm just like, what are you talking about? This is cool. The big complaint is the way the Force is used in this movie, and I'm just like, you know what? If the Force evolves, that's cool for me. I think this is awesome.
None of the yeah, I didn't have a problem with the way the Force was portrayed. The only thing that I was I cocked my head at was spoilers for a movie that came out several months ago, is when Luke dies, becomes one with the Force, fades away at the very end of the movie. I felt like it when you think about it for half a second, it's like, well, okay, Yoda did the same thing. Obi-Wan kind of did that. Qui-Gon didn't. I guess he just sucked as a Jedi. So but Yoda was old and dying from old age. I guess I feel it might have worked a little bit better if the reveal that Luke is doing a force projection thing, if it was understood that there'd be like a two punch. Instead of a single gut punch, you'd have two gut punch. First gut punch going, holy biscuits, Luke's not even there. It's a trick. He's force projecting himself. Bully to him. And second gut punch going, he's not going to be able to survive that. Oh, noes. Instead, it's like, I guess he forced too darn hard. I guess that was a stressful thing that killed him. It doesn't play as well as I think it could have if we had any understanding that level of exertion in force powers is something that's gonna kill you dead.
Like you said, that hasn't been something that has been explored before, but well, at least not in the movies, because in the books, the old extended universe, people have forced too hard and ended up killing themselves.
Does that mean that everyone we've seen in the movies using the Force up to this point has just kind of been half-assing it?
They've been staying in their limits.
I can force harder, but it really hurts my back.
But going back to fading away, Qui-Gon Jinn didn't fade away because this goes into the very last season of the Clone Wars cartoon, where it's you find out that Obi-Wan and Yoda actually had to go on a pilgrimage of sorts to learn how to do that, and that's
well, there's a line in the third one, I think, where Yoda or someone says, I've been talking with Qui-Gon. So while Qui-Gon apparently didn't learn the Force ghosty stuff, maybe he learned post-death communication at least.
Maybe,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't.
But
Yeah.
the problem is I think Luke fading away and joining the Force or whatever that is, that should have been what you don't want your audience to do is go, what the oh, it did he just die? Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the reaction you want your audience to have.
Yeah, it's not telegraphed, but I think it's still, because when the projection is ended,
Mm-hmm.
you see him fall backwards off the rock that he's meditating on,
Yeah.
and he's kind of struggling to pull himself back up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that he's at least overexerted himself, and so you get the feeling that maybe that he's at least hurt in some way, and then once he gets back up there and fades away, you're like, oh, he did really overexert himself.
Yeah, but again, it needs a setup, I
Yeah.
feel anyway. Even a single line somewhere in the movie where he's yelling at Rey, "What do you want, Luke Skywalker, to just go out there and be badass and save the universe?" He says, number one, that's not who I am. That's never been who I am. Number two, even if I'm old now, I'm tired. If I did that, I would probably exhaust the last of my energy and just fade away into the Force.
Yeah.
Something that sets that up and doesn't make the audience wonder what just happened with why did he disappear? Is that metaphorical or did he literally disappear?
Yeah. But yeah, but one thing I will say with that whole sequence though is that based on the way people had been talking about it, I was expecting a little bit more grandeur during that whole, when he's projected himself into the battlefield. I was for some reason I got the impression that Luke Skywalker was like using the Force to like completely demolish the First Order, or something like that. But no, he was just there to distract him, and I was just like, okay,
buy his friends time to get away.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I guess I misunderstood, or people were exaggerating what was going on, but yeah. So, but still, it was still a really cool sequence, and I really like that, and then with Rey at the end, where she just she force lifts in an avalanche, so that everybody can escape from the cave. I thought that was
another thing that it's actually set up because Luke mocks her about the whole idea of using the Force to lift rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And so that tied into something earlier. So that really worked for me.
Yeah.
If I hadn't said so before, I really liked the the Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Really liked it. Probably I like it better than Force Awakens, if only because it's more of its own thing than the Force Awakens was. And I like the Force Awakens, but it was so playing it safe by copying the things you know and love from episode 4 that it was just like, it's like, we're Star Wars, we're really Star Wars, look how Star Wars we are, oh, it's so Star Wars, we've even got a big Death Star, and even the characters like, oh, it's another Death Star, let's blow it up because we've done that twice before. And it's still a good movie. I still like it, but I like Last Jedi being its own thing.
Yeah, my biggest problem with the Last Jedi, and overall it is a good movie, I liked it.
Yeah, I think so.
It was just the opening setup just kind of felt like it was out of nowhere. Like
the opening setup,
where it's like the all the resistance is in one group of ships and they're trying to escape the First Order. I'm just, because it's been a while since I watched the other one, The Force Awakens, and I'm not entirely sure how that one ended. But it just feels like they skipped something in between the two movies, and I wasn't aware that the entire resistance was down to a dozen or so ships.
That's kind of
And
I would put that blame more on the Force Awakens not um, adequately setting up what's going on in the universe. How big is the
yeah,
First Order? How big is the Resistance? Because as far as the Force Awakens goes, I had the same question. I'm like, is the Resistance really only about these 10 ships here? Is that all they got? And
yeah,
according to Last Jedi, yeah, that's about it. Although they
hmm
seem to have a few more at the beginning of Last Jedi, and they lose most of them.
yeah,
Thanks,
yeah,
bro. But Jordan says can't wait to see more of Kenny, Captain Phasma. Yeah,
yeah,
I have a feeling that she's just gonna die in every movie and keep coming back, like
yeah.
Kenny from South Park.
She's a clone, and
Yeah,
and they
clone
just
every
bring
time.
her back. They just reclone her.
Phasma number 7, come on out. What was I saying? Oh, but when they blow up the Star Killer base, the planet-sized Death Star,
Yeah,
I was like, great. Is that all the First Order? Is it most of them? Half of them?
yeah,
Does that even make a dent? You left the movie going, yeah, because I don't know how wide-reaching the First Order is.
yeah.
I'm like,
Because
did we just blow them all up, or? I mean,
yeah,
obviously Snoke is somewhere else, but
yeah, Snoke is somewhere out there, and Kylo Ren's going to escape, and
right.
but yeah, and man, yeah. So it's very confusing setup in the beginning, and but once I
Yes.
got over that, I was just like, okay, this is kind of neat,
Yeah.
an actual space chase of sorts,
Yeah,
and
yeah, which I thought worked well.
yeah,
I like the fact that while all of the characters do dumb, ill-advised things,
hmm
um, you understand why they do dumb, ill-advised things, which I don't have a problem with because I do dumb, ill-advised things. It's a very human thing to do.
yeah.
It's
Well, it's
like,
like
well, why didn't this character just do this? It's like because they're a dumb, ill-advised person, and people do dumb
yeah.
stuff.
Well, and
Um,
you had the whole Holdo and Poe thing going on where Poe is just trying to figure out what's going on and what he can do to help, and Holdo is just like, go away, you're demoted, stop talking to me like we're equals. Yeah,
there is a
and
whole argument to be made. It's like if they just would have told everyone, "Hey, everyone, we have a plan. We totally do. We're we're gonna sneak over to a base while they go chasing the empty ships." Everyone would have been like, "Oh, okay." But
yeah,
again, you can kind of buy that the upper brass is gonna do the whole pull rank kind of thing, and
yeah,
especially
especially
since
towards Poe because Poe
yeah, who just got a bunch of people killed
yeah,
directly by not following orders, even though they did score more or less a symbolic only victory.
yeah, a pyrrhic
Um,
victory. Yeah,
but lessons were learned, and hopefully they'll all yeah, the 9 people in the resistance who are left. Hopefully they've now learned to work together, and
hopefully, yeah,
Rey has learned that she can't rely on other people. It's her and her generation's turn to take the reins and do the stuff. You can't just, oh, we've got to go find Luke Skywalker to fix things. Oh, we've got to go find whoever this goofball in Canto Blight is.
yeah.
Um, Blight, Bite, whatever the name of
Bite,
the place
yeah,
was.
bite,
Uh,
leave,
but hi, Chaos. Uh,
yeah,
Ray, Matthew says Ray could have and should have killed him in the first movie. Kylo Ren, yeah, but he was down and
yeah.
he's not a killer. So again, it's a this person should have done the thing. It's like, well, yeah, but I
Everybody
can
should
see
have
why
done
they did.
something
I'll
different.
tell you
Yeah.
what I really loved. I think my favorite, and hey, Warren, haven't seen you around in a while, on the podcast anyway. See you on Facebook all the time. What was I talking about? Oh, favorite thing in Last Jedi, which is actually something that I've found that some people don't like, but I love, absolutely love the fact that Ray's parents are just nobodies.
Yeah.
They're just random people that
Well,
sold him to
yeah.
a slaver for drug money or something like that. I love that because if she ended up being, because I'd been saying this for years, if she ends up being like the long lost daughter of Luke Skywalker or something, I would just, well, I would sigh disappointedly because
Yeah,
that's like the most boring thing you can possibly do. I love the fact
exactly. Yeah.
that she's that the Force and that uh being the hero of a story is not dependent on your lineage. It's what you do. And I think that's really driven home by the fact that the Force is strong in these Canto Bite kids, or at least one of them at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
don't have to be, unless people are watching that. Oh my God, Luke has another son somewhere, or something. Or Leia's lost it.
Yeah.
Leia and Han had a second child, and said, "What? No."
Yeah, well, see, and that was one of the things that in the old extended universe books, I liked the whole Jedi Order stuff that Luke was trying to do when it involved random people that he found and recruited. It was when the Jedi stuff involved Han and Leia's kids that I was just kind of annoyed and bored with, because it's just like, yeah, whatever. They're Han and Leia's kids, and they're gonna, and it's like everything gets screwed up because of them. But in those books, but when it was just random people that Luke found, that was very interesting, because you had these people who had lives. They always knew they were kind of special throughout their life. They didn't know why, and then Luke shows up and is like, "Hey, you're a Force user. Come over here and I'll train you." And that was always cool, because they learned to do cool things. Like there was one guy I remember. It's like they were at the Jedi Temple on Yavin 4, and the remnants of the Empire were attacking them from the sky with the Star Destroyers, and they all the Jedi apprentices got together and channeled their force through one of them, and that guy pushed every single Star Destroyer outside of the solar system and ended up destroying their hyperdrives in the process. And that was really cool. And they had another
It's a
person
little
who
OP. I
yeah
mean, at that point, it's like, hey, Leia, could you just, crush the hyperdrive of the damn Star
yeah
Destroyer you're
well,
following?
the guy ended up dying because of
Oh,
it, but
and that because Leia is selfish and she doesn't want to fade away into the Force because she knows that level of Force usage will just make you go poof.
Yeah, and then there was another person who she was all a very empathetic person throughout her story, and then ended up using the Force. She, I to help Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma got some kind of illness. She was poisoned, and no other treatments were working, and so this Force user, she was just like, can you actually move something as small as a virus? And she just kind of force projected herself into Mon Mothma's bloodstream, and tracked down every single virus cell, and forced it out of her body. And I was just like, oh, that's
Star
kind of
Wars pure
neat.
space. Neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing about Last Jedi that I found super frustrating, though, and that is that they once again treated the Finn Phasma thing like it's a big deal, but again, never bothered to actually set it up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything about the staging, the blocking, the cinematography, the music, everything is telling you, finally, the moment you've been waiting for. Finn and Phasma enter the Thunderdome tonight at 9. And you're like, why do I care?
Yeah,
We
because
haven't
it's
even seen this character in the movie yet. And they're treating it like this, like it's a big deal. Filmmakers, you have to, I know the movie's 2.5 hours, but you have to set it up or you feel nothing. I mean, it's a fine
yeah,
fight, it's well shot, but I only
yeah,
care because I want to care so much, but I don't because we don't know who Phasma is. We barely have any sense of what the relationship between Finn and Phasma are.
yeah.
They've
As
botched Captain Phasma two
yeah,
movies in a row.
yeah, pretty much. Because all we really know is that she was his commanding officer in the first one. She knew that he wasn't up to snuff, and so she was like, berating him and everything in the first movie before he decided to go AWOL. And
he did
and
disobey a direct order and didn't fire at anybody.
yeah, he
I
didn't
mean,
kill anybody.
it wasn't like it was completely out of the blue. He was disobeying a direct order.
Yeah, but still, that was about the extent of their relationship.
Yeah, that's
For
it.
2 films worth of setup, and we didn't have we didn't have any conflict between them after that in the first movie. At least I don't remember.
That yeah, well, yeah, that's it. But when they find her at the end of the movie, he's like, "I'm in charge now, Phasma. I'm in charge." And Han's like, "Okay, kid, settle down." And you're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, okay. I'm inferring what the relationship was
yeah,
from his reaction, but it's never shown to us. And again, it's movie, show don't tell. And then they're like, "You're gonna drop the shields, or I'm gonna splatter your brains across the inside of your helmet." And she folds like origami, and it's like,
yeah,
really? I totally thought she was gonna be, haha, I didn't turn off the shields. I called the guards. No, she actually turns off the shield. It's like,
yeah.
really? You strike me as the kind of military hard ass who's like, go ahead and blow my head off. You're not getting those shields down.
Yeah, that
From
was
what I understand, there was a cut scene where Finn actually points this out before he starts fighting her. And he she's like, shoot him, and he says, "Oh yeah, Phasma, I remember the last time I had a gun to your head, you immediately caved and turned off the shields, which caused the deaths of every single person on the Starkiller planet." And
yeah, and
like,
then she murders all the other stormtroopers on the elevator or whatever it is that they're
yeah.
on, and
And I'm like, there's some stuff, and I guess maybe the
yeah,
movie was just too long, and I can see Jordan talking about the Canto Bite sequence being too long, and I agree that the Canto Bite sequence, which I love, and which is really important to what the narratively and the points they were making, it does go on longer than it needs.
yeah,
But to the point where it almost became enjoyable. For example, the chase sequence where they're on the
where
back
they're
of
on
that
the
damn
horse
mountain goat
things.
thing. Uh,
Yeah,
they're being chased down the street, and they like jump and crush a car. And it's like, oh, poor. I feel sorry for the person. Oh, they just totaled another car. Okay, this is, oh, there's a third car, fourth car,
yeah,
fifth car. Okay, this is stupid. Six, seven, eight, and you're like, okay, now it's just funny.
yeah.
'Cause it just goes on and on and on, and
Yeah, and I do like when they crash through the casino and run those goat horse things through the casino. That to me, I
oh
thought that
yeah,
was just a
I loved
fun
it.
sequence to
I also
watch.
love that one guy who thought that BB-8 was a slot machine.
Oh, yeah.
And then
And then
BB-8's rolling around, and you can hear the money sloshing around
and
inside of
then he
him.
uses the guns or the money as a projectile
That
when
makes no sense, but
rescuing people.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, BB-8 doesn't. It's because early in the very first scene, BB-8's trying to fix Poe's guns, and
Mhm.
he's got this one little thing, and then just another thing pops off of it, and then another one, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this guy is some like nanotech stuff going on here in order to accomplish these 500 different things that have popped off this one limb. But yeah,
Jordan says, "Why wasn't, I guess, the Benicio del Toro character Lando Calrissian instead?" It didn't need to be. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sorry that Lando's not in the movie, because I'm sure Billy Dee'd be up for it, but maybe we'll see him in Episode 9. Who knows?
maybe. But
Um,
I don't think he would have done the same thing in the end, though. Like, because
no.
Del Toro's character, or Delta, is that right?
Yeah, Benicio del
Yeah.
Toro.
Yeah, he he sells them out in the end, and
Mhm.
Lando wouldn't have done that. Lando sold them out in
He had no choice.
Empire Strikes Back
Yeah.
because the Darth Vader and the Empire got there before Han
Right,
did,
right.
and basically held a gun to his head.
Yeah,
He would,
Benicio del
yeah,
Toro is he said, but they're the bad guys. You're letting he says, yeah, and you'll just blow them up tomorrow. So,
yeah,
he's a war profiteer. Well, not
yeah.
exactly a war profiteer, but someone who
An
yeah,
opportunist.
an opportunist. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that they actually go into war profiteering and shades
Mhm.
of gray kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's because Star Wars has always been pulpy, total bad guys, total good guys. That's all you need to know. It's a kids movie. But I'm pushing 40 now. I don't mind seeing some other perspectives and shades of gray creeping into my Star Wars. It's fine.
Yeah.
In fact, I really enjoy that stuff. So yeah, not a perfect movie. I've definitely got my nitpicks, but
Yeah.
overall, yeah, I really quite liked The Last Jedi. I mean, I
The
can never.
Last Jedi. Yeah.
Its name doesn't stick in my head at all,
No.
and I have no idea what they're going to do with the next one.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see the final showdown between Rey and Kylo Ren, and
Yeah.
they're going to have to do something to uh, wrap up Leia's arc because Carrie Fisher's no
Yeah,
longer with
right.
us.
It's like, how are they going to handle that? Because it's like you can't you can't kill Leia off screen, and
Yeah.
they've said they're not going to recast her and they're not going to CG her.
Oh man,
So
who was it that there was some stupid
I mean, they
fan
could
petition
change their
going
mind,
around.
but
There was some stupid fan petition to recast Leia, and I forget who it was. They were trying, I think it was Meryl Streep or something as stupid like that. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, why would you do that? Don't recast an iconic character like that. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah.
they do. Maybe
Uh,
they'll.
it's like, oh, Leia, oh, you just missed her.
Yeah.
Or she's constantly shot from the back, like the back of her head and stuff.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll use a combination of cut scenes from the previous two movies and CG
Yeah,
in order
we
to
didn't
wrap
CG
up
her,
her
we didn't recast her, we built her completely out of all old footage.
arc. Yeah.
Okay.
Episode 10, Chewie forever alone.
No, he adopts a flock of
Porgs. Yeah.
porgs. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, he apparently kept at least one as a pet.
Aren't there like a bunch of them nesting throughout the
Yeah,
Falcon?
yeah. There was a sequence where you could see a few nesting in the Falcon. Yeah.
Speaking of the Millennium Falcon, have you seen the trailer for Solo movie?
It's been a while. I haven't watched or have they
Okay.
released any new ones recently?
No, but I think there's only the one trailer. But the thing that caught my eye the most is how white the inside of the Millennium Falcon is. I mean,
Yeah,
it is pristine and clean and sparkly, toothpaste white.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, really? Did Han and Chewie just smoke a lot in the Millennium Falcon? What did they do to the interior of that ship? I thought the interior of the ship was supposed to be kind of a burnt yellow.
Well, it's all the modifications that they've done that have created all kinds of electrical fires, and all the smoke from the burning wires, just it has tinged the interior of the ship. Yeah. But
Or,
yeah, that
or
ship is
maybe,
very clean in the Han Solo movie.
or well, the Millennium Falcon is not a custom ship. It's like literally a Model T whatever Carillion freighter. They come off the
It's
assembly line, right?
yeah,
It's a regular ship,
it's
one you can recognize.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
here's my theory. So he wins it in whatever game from Lando Calrissian, and then he immediately loses or destroys the damn thing. So he has to buy a new one, but he doesn't have so much money. But so he buys the same model ship, but it just pays bottom dollar used this really old clunky version of the ship. And he's like, oh yeah, that's the Millennium Falcon. It's like, what did you do to my ship? Nothing. That's your ship. It's brand new. He goes inside. The walls are all yellow. It's like, what did you do to my ship? He's like, well, Chewie smokes a lot, you see. So That's my guess as to why the ship looks so different between Solo and A New Hope, because
Yeah.
it's not the same ship. Han screwed up and crashed it and had to buy a new one. He said, "Oh no, it's fine. It's right here, right? No, you don't want to go inside, look around. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. It's fine."
Oh
That's my
man.
theory.
Yeah. But yeah, the Millennium Falcon is basically the equivalent of Jack Burton's truck from Big Trouble in Little China.
Sure.
It's just it's a
The Pork
typical.
Chop Express.
Yeah, it's your typical freighter truck that you see every day driving down the road, and except he's given it a custom paint job and he's got his beads and everything hanging up inside. Yeah, it's and that's how the Millennium Falcon is. But it'll be interesting to see how he trashes it if they.
Yeah, I will be honest though. I've never understood in any of the Star Wars movies the Millennium Falcon is always referred to as junk. When Luke first sees it, he goes, "What a hunk of junk." When Rey first refers to it, Finn, they're like, "We need a ship." He's like, "What about that one?" She goes, "That one's garbage." Everyone is so mean to the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, I look at the ship and I'm like, what about it is garbage? Because it doesn't look any worse than any other ship I see sitting around. Like your average X-Wing or any of the Resistance ships. I'm like, it looks fine. I'm not sure what everyone in the Star Wars universe sees when they're like, "Oh God, that's a garbage ship." Like,
well,
really?
I guess it's a matter of living in that universe, because you walk down the street, you can immediately point out the clunkers as you go along. You can say, yeah, that one's a piece of garbage, that one's a piece of garbage.
Yeah, maybe it's that model of freighter that everyone's like, oh, the T86 freighter series. Oh, those are all crap. That's why the Corellian Freight Lines is out of business because of that lemon.
It's the oh goodness. Goodness. Now I'm forgetting my car names, because the Pinto. Yeah, it's the Pinto of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, let me.
Han is in his 20s in Solo. In Episode 4, he's probably late 30s to 40s. I don't get that he's that old in Episode 4. Maybe his early 30s. But yeah, I don't think he's that old, because really he's Luke Skywalker is what, 18 years old in there, so Leia's probably about the same age. I never really pictured Han being that much older than them.
I just had to look it up. The Millennium Falcon was manufactured by Corellian Engineering Corporation, and it's model YT-1300F, and it's classified as a light freighter. So
yeah,
because I'd heard it at some point. I forgot what it was, but Jordan says Han is in his 20s in Solo, and in Episode 4 he's probably late 30s to 40s. I would, like I said, I don't know. I would have put it like at the actor's age, and Harrison Ford was young 30s when he did the movie, I think. Yeah. And the guy playing him is like 26 or 27 in the new Solo movie. So I don't know. But so it strikes me as there's maybe 5 years between. I don't know how far before Episode 1 Solo is supposed to take, if it's 5 years or if it's 15 years or what. But still, even if it's 15 years, boy, the inside of that ship yellowed fast.
Yeah.
I mean, my Super NES is 30 years old and it's not that yellow. It's still fairly white. So
yeah.
You think Harrison Ford was 37 at the time? I go ahead and look it up. It was 77. So the original Star Wars came out in 77, so it was probably filmed in 76. So go find out when Ford was born, and I can see Zachary typing away. I think he's doing.
Let's see. He was born in 1942. So, and in 77, that's he was 35.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
42, 76. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So mid-30s. And whatever's face who I looked this up once. Whatever's face who's playing a young Solo, I think is 26 or 27, something like that.
Oh, let's see. Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh God, they're sticking with that name. That's so lame.
Mm-hmm.
So lame, man.
All
Oh,
right.
it's lame.
He is he's 28. So yeah,
28. Okay.
born in 89. Man, I'm old. All these. This is it's like when the Fantastic Four movie or the Fan Four Stick movie came out. I looked at my wife. I'm like, yeah, we're old. These kids are starring in movies now.
Yeah, yeah. And what's weird is I remember looking at in movies. Like I remember watching Ghostbusters and looking at adults and saying, "Oh, adults are just these impossible." They didn't come across as old, but I had no
Yeah.
concept that I'd ever be that old. And it's interesting looking back at movies I enjoyed when I was a kid because I'm older than the people who were in the movies at the time. You
Yeah.
know, the movies I watched were starring people who were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And if they're male, up until mid 30s, and now I'm watching them, I'm going, wow, I'm older than them now. so,
Yeah.
so all right. We actually had some topics, but we've just been talking about Star Wars for an hour. Let's actually move to a topic.
All right.
And the first one I want to talk about is Famitsu Magazine, which is a Japanese publication. Uh, their recent issue had the results of a survey that they put out a while back, which polled foreign gamers, not exclusively Western, but just not Japan gamers, on what they think about Japanese games in general and what they think about specific Japanese games. Monster Hunter, Nier Automata, NIOH, Neo. Um, uh, Persona 5, a couple. And so I was looking at the responses, and let me pull up my copy here. So they had 6,600, nearly 6,700 people respond. The vast majority were in their 20s and 30s. A little over half was North America. About 20% was Europe, and then we have uh, I can't read that. It's Africa and Asia is what that is. I think they're splitting Africa and South Africa out for whatever reason, and I don't know what
Well,
that
I
one
think
is.
South Africa is just kind of a different buying
Yeah,
market
I'm
than
not sure.
the rest of Africa.
I can't read Japanese at all. So, but anyway, just to give you a sense of who's responding. Um, so it's mostly North America and Europe. We've got some of Africa and Asia there. Anyway, so about 80% Western, and mostly people in their 20s and 30s. Okay, so what I found particularly interesting is on the page where they talk about what people like about Japanese games. About a third of them are essentially boobs and cute girls. So here are some of the responses that, to be clear, Famitsu chose to highlight in its magazine. Right?
Yeah.
These are not necessarily representative of the people who responded. It may just be Famitsu thought they were funny and decided to highlight these. It's also possible that the kind of person who's the more likely someone is to respond to this type of poll is a person more likely to say, I like cute girls with big boobs in video games, and that's why I like Japanese video games. But you have a lot of comments that are like, Japanese games are more original and innovative. I like Japanese voiceovers. I love
Chinese subtitles are a must.
Yeah, subtitles in English and French. I love Japanese and
Yeah.
manga culture. I think Japanese artists have special ideas with great values, in particular Kojima, Suda51, Swery, and Mikami. Replay value. I want as much value for my money when I buy a game. But then you have other comments, and there's a bunch of these, like a third of them are along these lines. Sexy girls, beautiful girls, cute girls, revealing clothing, handsome men. I'm glad us dudes got some representation in there, but
Yeah.
like, and also I don't know if that's the entire comment or if they just called this out of a longer comment, but it's kind of weird to me that it's like, hey, what is it that you find appealing about Japanese games specifically? Sexy girls, beautiful girls, cute girls, revealing clothes, and handsome men. It's like, really? How about you? I like cute girls. Okay.
Yeah.
You?
Fan service, of
Yeah.
course.
Fan service, of course. I like games that make me feel good. The anime style, duh. Having cute girls in your games really makes a difference.
Okay.
Moe. I love Moe. And it's like, you guys are, some of you are just kind of gross. I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
little sad, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with liking the sexy. Who doesn't like the sexy? But and again, I don't know if these are just like, if someone just said cute girls and that's it, that's all I like. That's the only reason I play Japanese games. I have no
Cute
idea.
girls, yeah.
But it's weird because there are a lot of really good, thoughtful comments, but literally a third of them are essentially because I like cute girls in revealing outfits, and that's
Yeah.
that makes me worry about some people. I mean, it's like I'm honestly not sure how to feel about that because again, I don't have a problem with anyone who's like, I the that anime style, man.
Yeah.
It's just adorable as heck.
Well,
And
it's like I guess it's one of those things. It's like when you ask a Western audience, or the stereotype is when you ask a Westerner about Japanese anime. It's like, what do you like about Japanese anime? Oh, the hentai. Yeah, it's like it's like okay, that's not all that Japanese.
it's like, let's talk about foreign entertainment, specifically Japanese foreign entertainment. Now, do you like Japanese foreign entertainment? Oh yeah, love it. So, what is it that you like about Japanese foreign Japanese entertainment? Tentacle porn. Really? I mean, I thought Urutsuki Doji was pretty good too, but in anything else, tentacle porn. It's like, okay. And body pillows with underage girls on them. Any nation where I can buy used underwear from a vending machine on a street corner is a-okay with it. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it is weird. It would be it would be kind of interesting to see a wider selection of comments published, so we can get a better idea of the range, because there is a good amount of range in these comments that are published in this one little infographic. But it would be interesting to see more in that see what else other people have to say.
And to be fair, again, I want to be clear that these are just the comments that Famitsu chose to publish. I don't know if they're excerpts from larger comments. They probably are. And it's only a third of the comments that were on the Japanese games industry in total. 2/3 of them are about how we like the voice acting and the unique things that happen in Japanese entertainment that you don't often see in Western entertainment. So there are some other great comments. And in the pages that were about specific games like Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Persona 5, on and on, very few of the comments were specifically lascivious in nature. There's one comment on the Monster Hunter page that's about there's nothing better than a cute girl wearing the Kirin armor set swinging a great sword, and the Kirin armor set is essentially like the Raquel Welch fuzzy bikini in the 100 million years BC.
Yeah.
Um, there's one comment on Nier Automata. I don't know exactly what the question was. What do you like about Nier Automata? And one of the responses is 2B's big butt. Well,
Okay.
she does have a prominent shapely posterior. She definitely does. But it's like, really, you didn't want to talk about the story
The
or the
gameplay.
music or the gameplay, or no, 2B's butt just right there. But well, I'm glad you're easy to amuse. I mean, if you're that easily amused, I guess life is pretty fun. All I need is a big button. I'm set.
Yeah.
Don't really gameplay, story, character.
Whatever.
There's a but. I'm good. So yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting
Yeah.
interesting article, which I'm glad that a lot of it is written in English. I think what they did was the comments were submitted in English, and they just republished them as they got them and translated them below. So
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
because otherwise I can't read Japanese at all. I mean, I can read, the katakana a little bit, which is the phonetic one that, the symbols that mean each phonic sound in the language. But I still need to, like last week, we were talking about
The
um,
bunny costume.
the bunny costume, and I went to look up what it was actually called. I had to look up those three characters because I couldn't. I recognized them, but I'm like, I don't know what it says. So yeah, just use Google Translate. Um, I can't unless I can actually copy the characters and plug it in, which I couldn't because I was just watching a video, and
Yeah.
the katakana was written in a video, and I had no way to actually copy it and paste it into a translator, so I had to look at the individual characters and against a sheet. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So last week we did talk about. Let me get rid of these so they're not in my way. We talked about what game is that? That's Galgun 2 and their costume DLC, which is
Yeah.
almost $5 per costume. We've talked about Capcom has a Street Fighter 5 costumes, which are about $5 a piece. Um,
And
so
Monster Hunters got
Monster Hunter's got a
costumes.
couple costumes. They're not armors, but the costumes are
Yeah.
usually $4. We're seeing a lot of games with costume packs or costumes that are sold individually for about $5 a pop. And you've seen me complain that that's absurd,
Yeah.
and I maintain that it is. Well, Shantae Half-Genie Hero is coming out with a costume pack, and is this going to share or not? Is
It
that
was sharing, and
there?
then there we go.
I mean, there.
Zoom into that.
Well, I can't. That's
That's
the highest resolution I got. So they've got a costume pack coming out. We've got the ninja, we've got the bikini Shantae, and we've got Officer Shantae. That's from Switch Block Force, Switch something. And as you can see, the bikini Shantae is actually wearing a bikini. That's swimwear. So good on you, Wayforward. So this is $8, and I think it's absolutely worth it. And you might think, oh, Andrew, 3 costumes for $8. Why are you okay with that? Well, because it turns out that in this game you aren't just getting these 3 costumes. And it's not $8 a piece, it's $8 for all 3. But in addition to the costume, it's not just costumes, it's an entire gameplay mode. So the different costumes changes how Shantae moves and plays. It changes the story. It changes the gameplay mechanics. It changes a lot of the art and level layout. There's new voiceover. So you're essentially getting three new game modes. The ninja can run fast and teleport and throw shuriken
Ninja
and
stars.
kunai and stuff like that. The bikini one, she's constantly getting a sunburn, so you have to collect lotion and dive in the water to cool yourself off. And she has a new beach ball attack. The Mighty Switch Force, that's what it's called. The Officer Shantae from Mighty Switch Force. Uh, it has those blocks that alternate into and out of the background. If you've ever played Mighty Switch Force, there are foreground blocks and background blocks. You can jump on top of the foreground blocks, and then you can push a button to switch them. And if you're standing in front of one, when it switches, it slams you into the screen. So that mechanic has been added to the game. So this is worth $8, I think, even though Shantae Half-Genie Hero is a shorter game. That's the original game without the DLC is like $20. If you want the version that has all the DLC, it's like $40.
Yeah.
But I think that $8 is totally fair for essentially three new game modes. So again, DLC in and of itself, I don't have a problem with, so long as it isn't or doesn't feel like something that you took out of the game to sell me later, and it's something that I feel is reasonably priced. Personally, I don't feel a single costume, especially for 3D animated characters, is I don't think $4 or $5 for a single costume is a fair price.
No, it's
What
not.
I mean by 3D animated and 2D animated is for a 3D character, you design the costume, you model it once, and then you're done. Then you have to check it to make sure the animations aren't clipping through anything and it looks good with all the various animations. But essentially, you
Yeah.
model the costume onto the character once and you're done. With a 2D sprite animated game, you have to draw you have to redraw every single animation frame of that character in the new costume. That's a lot more work.
Yeah.
So
Something this detailed, yeah, because there are 2D animated games where where like your character can get equipment like armor and helmets and stuff, but those are separate sprites that are attached to the main sprite.
That overlay or stick to
Yeah. So, but this one, yeah, these costumes are fully rendered sprites of Shantae and yeah, so everything has to be redrawn for these, which is quite a bit of work, I guess. So, but yeah, this looks cool, and this is the kind of DLC that I like to see, where it's an entire expansion pack for a game. This is the kind of stuff that I would support and would definitely buy, because it's not quite a sequel, but you are getting significant content that you're going to end up playing for a decent amount of time. Whereas a costume, it's just like, oh, I'm buying the costume just because I like it, not because it's going to enhance the game in any measurable fashion. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay $4 or $5 just for a costume.
And to be clear, it's not like three new games. You're still playing through the same game, same areas, but the gameplay mechanics have changed and the layouts look like they've changed a little bit, enemy placement, stuff like that. So it's the same game, but it's three new ways really to play the same game with new story, new voiceovers, new art, and yeah, that $8 that feels worth it to me.
Yeah. So Matthew's asking if it's 2D sprites or 3D models that are just on a 2D plane, and
right.
Yeah. But Shantae is definitely a 2D game.
In Shantae Half-Genie Hero, at least, it's hand-drawn 2D sprites.
Yeah, the animations, they are probably using something like Spline or Spriter to animate the character, which is a way of piecing together individual elements and applying them to a bone, which allows you to more easily animate stuff on a timeline, which really cool software. So they're probably using something along those lines and then exporting out those animations to be used in the game. But yeah, but they're definitely 2D sprite characters in there. So
yeah, and good game too. One of my viewers actually bought it for me for I think Christmas, and thank you again. And good game. Also bought me one of the DLC expansions for this last Christmas, which I haven't got around to playing yet. I think the Friends to the End expansion, which allows you to play as Roddy, Bolo, and Bird Girl, whatever her name is.
And then there's the Pirate Queen's quest.
Risky has her own quest, and now this costume DLC, which I don't recall if the Kickstarter was originally if it was originally just going to be costume DLC, or if they said, you know what, let's just do more than costume DLC. Let's make a whole new gameplay mode.
Yeah.
Matthew says you still need to play Nier. Matthew is correct. I still very much do. That's definitely on my list. You know, one thing that's been on my list for a long time has been something the line.
Walk the Line.
No, it's a first-person shooter that came out in the PS3 and 360 years ago, and is apparently a really good deconstruction of first-person shooters. It's called something the Line, and it's been on my playlist to buy cheap and play for quite. Spec Ops the Line. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Scotty and Chaos and Matthew. Everyone remembered it except me. Spec Ops the Line.
I didn't remember it either. So
y'all knew what I was talking about. So, but that was just made available for free via Steam or Humble Bundle or Good Old Games or someone. So I just picked it up for free. Nice. I'd rather play it on console than PC, but it was free, so I'll play it on PC. As Matthew just says, given away for free on PC a few weeks back, and I picked it up. And it's one I've wanted to play for a while, so add that to the backlog. So, all right, moving on. Okay. Warner Brothers games. So last fall, Warner Brothers games released Middle-earth: Shadow of War, sequel to Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, I think it was. A game that everyone really seemed to like, had that great nemesis system where you'd fight orcs and they'd all have individual personalities, and they'd say, you may have bested me this day, but I'll get you. And you'd kind of have relationships with these different orcs, and sometimes they'd kill you and you'd come back from the dead and they'd remember, they're like, I killed you the last time, buddy. I'll kill you this time. And it was the Nemesis system, and it was lauded far and wide. And so they came out with the sequel, and they jammed loot boxes into it, and everyone hated it because it kind of cheapens the whole experience when you can just buy orcs out of loot boxes. And while you could grind stuff, apparently the grinding was so obnoxious that it was no fun anymore. So keep in mind that came out, I think, last October, so about 6 months ago. So Warner Brothers has now announced that in a couple of months it will be taking the loot box marketplace offline. You won't be able to buy gold anymore. You won't be able to buy loot boxes. Now it's actually going to be a balanced video game that you play, like it should have been in the first place. And I think the galling thing for me is this paragraph from Warner Brothers release. It says, the core promise of the Nemesis system is the ability to build relationships with your personal allies and enemies in a dynamic open world. While purchasing orcs in the market is more immediate and provides additional player options, we have come to realize that providing this choice risked undermining the heart of our game. The Nemesis system. It allows you to miss out on the awesome player stories you would have otherwise created, and it compromises those same stories even if you don't buy anything. Simply being aware that they are available for purchase reduces the immersion in the world and takes away from the challenge of building your personal army and your fortresses. In order to fully restore the core promise of the Nemesis system, we'll be permanently removing gold, war chests, and the market from Shadow of War. This means the option to purchase gold with real-world money and the ability to gain orc followers from war chests will be removed. There will be a specific amount of time given for players to utilize their unused gold. If players have unused gold by the end of the time allotted to spend it, any remaining gold will be converted to in-game items. Okay. First of all, Warner Brothers is saying that we've just come to realize that this stuff hurts the game. Warner Brothers
really
lying through its teeth. Warner Brothers knew on day one that this was a bad idea because we all told them long before that when we first found out this was a problem. Warner Brothers is also remedying this problem, getting rid of the stuff we don't like long after it matters.
Yeah.
They're turning off the gold in May and the marketplace in July. So again, it came out last fall. So over half a year later, when no one's playing the game anymore, people have gotten sick of it and given up on it. When they've made all the money they possibly can from this crap, then they're like, oh, we've undermined the integrity of our own game? Oh, golly, we didn't know that. We'll get rid of that. What's that? People are still we're still making a little bit of money. Oh, what's the projection on that? Hang on. This summer, we'll remove that this summer. As I said on Twitter last week, we see what you're doing, Warner Brothers.
Yes, we do.
We see you. That just drives me damn nuts.
Yeah.
The only thing, the only bright side to this is it finally seems like loot boxes are becoming literally toxic to the point where I think we're gonna stop seeing them introduced in the first place now.
Yeah.
Because EA lost a lot of money on Star Wars Battlefront 2. Warner Brothers lost, at the very least, a lot of respect and a positive word of mouth and mindshare and stuff because of the way they handled this game, Middle-earth: Shadow of War. So they probably, if they do another Middle-earth game, it's probably not going to launch with loot boxes. And really all I can hope is that none of us gamers give Warner Brothers the cookie they seem to be after. Like, oh, we're out for the gamer. We just now realized 6 months later that this was a bad idea that in their own words undermines their entire game. It's like, oh, we just realized this months later, and as soon as we've milked every last dollar out of the marketplace, we'll get rid of it. We'll take it right out of the game that nobody's playing anymore because we've milked every last dime out of it we can. And I know that's cynical, but it's also true.
Yeah, exactly. It is exactly what's going on. They found that that in keeping this system in is, one, costing more money than it's making at this point, or at least it's projected to cost more money than it's going to make, and two, people aren't not as many people as they hope are playing it because of these stupid DLC reasons and stupid loot boxes. Because golly, you would think that these companies would learn eventually,
and not if they. These companies are more than willing to take all the spit to the face that we are going to hawk in their direction, as long as they're pulling money out of our wallets.
Yeah.
They, word of mouth, positive PR, none of that seems to matter as long as they're making money. They will put up with all the backlash in the world as long as they're making money. And it's a business, and I get that, but golly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people need to be more like me and not buy video games unless they're don't buy video games that are less than a year old. You should always wait until they're at least a year old, because by then all the patches are out, all the major patches are out, all the crappy DLC that they've tried to force down our throats are either gone or discounted or free at
or
that
they've
point.
released the Ultimate Gold Deluxe Edition for
Yeah,
$40 that includes all the DLC that had come out in the last year. I
exactly.
mean, for instance, just this last fall, we saw the complete editions of uh, Aloy in the Land of the Metal Dinosaurs, which is not the name of the game.
Horizon Zero
Horizon Zero
Dawn.
Dawn. I'm bad at names tonight. And Resident Evil 7 both had deluxe super special editions, which collects all the DLC. I think they both were $50 when they came out, but
Yeah.
the base version of the game was $60 when it came out. So, and
Yeah.
I think both of them are you can probably find on Amazon for about
40. Yeah.
40, yeah. And Little Nightmares has a complete edition too, if you want to count that one. It's just another one off the top of my head. But also, yeah, a year seems to be a good reason, not only for, well, there's DLC, there will probably be a complete edition in a year or so, but also another thing you mentioned was patches. I mean, I'm reading the patches for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and a lot of them are fixing major damn problems with the game.
Yeah.
And I'm reading these, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll wait a year until the game actually works correctly.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Okay, they released the alpha version, and now all these patches are what they've done to actually finish development of the game.
Look, no. Game companies, if you want me to play test your game, you pay me. I ain't paying you $60 to play test your damn game. You pay me for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Game of the Year editions, deluxe editions, gold editions, complete editions. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of stuff coming out in September, and a bunch of stuff I was actually kind of interested in and looking forward to, like Spider-Man. And then they say Spider-Man's coming out September 7th, and I'm like, with that same costume, really? Okay. But then they said there'll be other costumes in the game. I said, oh, all right, good, because that one's terrible. And they said, but there's also going to be new DLC episodes. And I said, great, I'm not buying it now. And I'm seriously not going to. I'm sure it's going to be a great game, but maybe I'll check it out in a year when there's a complete version of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Man.
Scotty says the only truly great DLC is Luigi's balloon battle with his fabulous bow tie. Yeah, it was free. I never gave it a go. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
it didn't seem all that interesting. It's just like, see how far you can get in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And now see if you can figure out where somebody else put a balloon in 30 seconds. And it's just like, what? This doesn't sound all that fun at all.
My question was always, why? What's in it for me? I would assume coins, like the more people who can't find your balloon, you earn coins, and you earn coins the faster you find other people's balloons. I'm assuming is how it works. And I need coins to buy some and they've released some new costume DLC for Mario, which is awesome. I don't have the in-game coins to buy it, and I don't feel like grinding levels to get coins. Although they've released a couple new hint pictures, and I don't know what's hiding in those spots. I don't know if it's coins or something. I don't know. I should probably turn it on and go look, but I haven't. So, all right, last topic, and this is one you pointed out. So, go ahead and take the reins, Zachary. Tell us a story.
All right. So we all know that the Trump administration doesn't like net neutrality. Ajit Pai, I don't know how to say his first name. Ajit Pai. One of the first things that he did was to cancel Obama's FTC or FCC's net neutrality order, and this has made or hasn't made very many people happy, and there are
telecoms like it.
Well, yeah. telecoms like it, Cox, Comcast,
Hmm.
AT&T, Verizon, all of them,
Yeah.
they love it because that means that they can get away with throttling your Netflix and BitTorrent streams all they want, among other things. But a lot of other people aren't, and it's usually people on the content side and on the consumer side, because without net neutrality protections, we're at the mercy of what our internet service providers will allow us access to, and and the same thing for content providers. We're at the mercy of hundreds upon hundreds of internet service providers around the world to let us get our content to our viewers. And so a number of people have filed suit against the FCC over their removal of net neutrality, and the so several attorney generals, Democratic attorney generals from around the U.S. have sued the FCC, and earlier this week, recently, the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, this is the organization that represents major video game publishers. They filed a motion for as it says, for leave to intervene in the case. Basically, they want to become a party on the side fighting the FCC, and so that they can put their muscle behind this order. And according to the ESA's documents, it says that. The ESA accuses the FCC of allowing internet service providers to take actions that could jeopardize the fast, reliable, and low latency connections that are critical to the video game industry. The FCC's order eliminates rules that prevent broadband providers from blocking, throttling, and otherwise interfering with consumers' access to content online. And absent these protections, the ESA and its member companies will have no effective legal recourse against broadband provider conduct that impairs consumers' online video game experiences. So what they're saying is that that without net neutrality, video game players will be at the mercy of their their ISP to be able to play online. With more games being played online these days, video game players are using more and more bandwidth, and without net neutrality protections, that is going to come under threat. And it's not just that, but it's also being able to play video games, being able to buy video games, because more and more games are being sold online, and you have to download them. You have to download 30 gig patches in order to play some
I
video game.
downloaded the demo of Yakuza 6, and it's like 12 or 13 gigs. Took me all
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, so you have to download multiple gigabytes of data on a regular basis in order to play, even just locally. And then you got to play online if you want to play multiplayer, and some games are just online only or whatever. And yeah, without net neutrality, that could come under threat, because what in reality, what's the difference for Cox between several thousand people who play video games on the PlayStation and Xbox buying video games, and several thousand people downloading torrents of movies or whatever? It's like, what, there really isn't any difference. It's just high volume traffic coming through. And so yeah, I'm glad to see the ESA getting on board this lawsuit, or at least trying to. It's
Well,
definitely
yeah,
one of those rare times when their interests align with game consumers.
yeah, that's what it is. It's nothing altruistic. It's the interests happen to align.
Yeah.
We gamers want to be able to game, and the
They
ESA
want
wants to
to
be able to
be
make
able to,
money off of us. So
yeah, they want to be able to sell us games that we can actually play. If they can't sell us games that we can play, and we can't play those games, yeah, they're going to lose money. But yeah, so our interests have aligned at this point, and I made a point to on Twitter to mention that once this fight is over, once we've won or lost. Yeah, the ESA is going to be back to its old SOPA loving self, DMCA loving self, because the ESA was, they came down pretty hard on the side of SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, back in the day. They kind of halfway walked that back, but for the most part, they were pretty gung ho about getting that passed. But yeah.
yeah, well, net neutrality is a good thing that unless you're a telecom, you
Yeah,
want. So, hey,
definitely.
ESA has
Uh,
money to lobby with, so
yeah,
I,
definitely let
well,
them.
yeah, they are a useful ally, but I'm still gonna thumb my nose at them the other days of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of funny too, because I guess I've the ESA has their little AstroTurf group, the Video Games Voter Network,
Yeah,
and they like to pretend they're still doing something, but
I haven't got an email from them in years. That's
I don't think I ever actually officially signed up. I know I signed up with some dummy emails at one point, just so that I could laugh at them and say, haha, you've got, whenever every time you mention how many members you got, I was like, I know at least two of those are fake email addresses. But,
Yeah.
uh,
Warren says, so ultimately you can't trust the ESA. Not exactly. You
well, you
can
can,
trust the
yeah,
ESA to do exactly what you know it's going to do, as long as you remember that the ESA represents video game publishers, not video game players.
yeah,
So,
they don't even necessarily represent video game developers.
no,
They
publishers.
represent publishers.
Right.
So
So
EA,
from
Activision, Ubisoft, Take Two,
Mhm.
those companies.
So from that perspective, you know what they're going to do. You know they're going to support DMCA stuff and SOPA PIPA stuff, but you also
Yeah,
know they're going to support net neutrality because it's in their interest to do so. So in that sense, you know what they're going to do, so you can trust them to do
yeah,
what you know they're going to do. As long as you don't mistake the ESA as being representative of game players,
yeah,
then I mean, because the whole SOPA PIPA thing, you can feel like, you betrayed my tiny little trust. And I actually back in the day made a video about exactly that. Uh,
yeah,
because the ESA does that thing where it will talk about, we're for the gamers, we love gamers, and we're glad that the gamers and we can fight side by side. Oh, but go PIPA and SOPA. It's like, oh, you slimy little jerk. You know?
yeah.
So,
And yeah, and this is, and
yeah,
you
they
gotta
will
remember
throw us.
this
You can trust the ESA to throw gamers under the
under
bus.
the bus when it's convenient for them. But
Yes.
yeah, and you got to remember, just a few weeks back we were talking about how the ESA is the same. They have publicly stated that their video game publishers cannot compete with a museum showing a 10-year-old video game in a playable form in a building that you have to pay access to get to. That their publishers can't compete with that.
They want some of that sweet, sweet museum entrance fee.
Yeah.
Actually, they probably want all of that sweet, sweet museum entrance fee.
Has
Um,
the ESA or ECA been up to anything? Not,
I don't
no.
know. Not that I've heard of.
It's pretty much dead at this point. I
Yeah.
think after,
Hal moved on, I think.
yeah,
Wanted to do something else. I don't know what I haven't heard from them in 2 years, so I don't
yeah,
know that it's actually doing anything anymore,
yeah,
which is sad because I think there is space for a organization that represents consumer interest.
oh yeah,
And I think the ECA definitely had the potential to be that, but ultimately did not come to pass, unfortunately.
yeah. if you're looking for an organization to support and that's going to fall on, going to do what's best for entertainment consumers, the EFF is probably the best bet to go for. The Electronic Frontier
Mm-hmm.
Foundation. They are very consumer oriented as well as business oriented. They will do what's best for both organizations, but they will ultimately side with the consumers if a business and consumer interests collide. So definitely a good organization to support there if you're looking for someone like that, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's who I hit up for uh, some legal opinion on when I got my Captain Toad video hit with a copyright.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure. Yeah, yeah. So again, to be clear, not legal advice, just legal opinion is what I got.
Yeah.
Because I remember my original draft of that article on game politics. The guy I had contacted got back to me and pointed out that the way I had phrased my original article uh, may, could be interpreted that he was offering me legal advice, which is not what he's not my lawyer. He's just
Yeah.
a person with a law background giving his own opinion. And it's just something I remember as a learnable moment from my writing career. Because I looked at it and go, yeah, you're right. I'm let me rewrite that, put a little disclaimer on the bottom, and yeah, I that's the interesting thing about writing is you constantly screw up.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing something for I was quoting someone. I got a quote from someone, and they had made a mistake in their quote, and they sent me a new quote, which was pretty similar to the old one, but they'd reworded it a bit. And they said, please use this one instead of the old one. I said, absolutely, no problem. And I accidentally went on to use the old one like an idiot. That was embarrassing. It's like, you use the old one. I'm like, oh my God, how did I screw that up? That is embarrassing. I'm like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, mistakes happen. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is our show for the evening, and we definitely would have had this one to an hour if we didn't spend 50 minutes talking about Star Wars.
But it's Star Wars. You
But it's
have
Star
to.
Wars, and Star Wars is fun. Man, it's nice to not hate Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
like Star Wars again, because
Yeah.
boy,
Those prequel trilogies are
yeah,
just,
that
yeah,
just
they're a tough slog.
well, it was it's like it killed Star Wars for me because at the time I mean, because you couldn't just say, well, I just won't watch the prequels. Well, I couldn't watch the originals either unless I had my old VHS tapes because there
Yeah.
was all this constantly
I
redone special edition,
yeah.
which I didn't.
My golden goose right now is to find a VHS copy of Star Wars, the original trilogy,
Hmm.
in widescreen format before the special editions. So it's like,
Yeah.
because I've got VHS copies, but they're the full screen format, and so it Chewbacca gets completely slighted at the award ceremony
Yeah.
in the full screen version. He's
You're pissed
not
you didn't
even
get a
in
medal? He's not
frame.
even on screen in Pan
Yeah.
Scan.
Yeah, I really want to find a widescreen version of
Yeah,
it in VHS.
I have
But
letterboxed, but with VHS they were always meant to be played on a 4:3 television.
yeah,
So if you hook up your VCR to your modern widescreen TV, you're just going to have your widescreen picture kind
zoomed
of
in. Yeah,
kind of in the middle of your frame like this. It won't actually fill out to here
yeah,
because that's the way that it works, which is a shame. But at least you do see the whole picture.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. And in that case, you can always just zoom in, like because most TVs will have a zoom, like a, yeah, where it just zooms it in, and it just cuts off the top and the bottom of the 4:3 format.
Mm-hmm.
And which, if you're watching a
That's
widescreen video, you're not going to lose all that much. You might lose a little bit on the edges too, but
that's true. You
not
could
as
zoom in
much.
on it, but it's a VHS tape. I really wouldn't recommend it. That's what,
Yeah,
320 or something like that. I
yeah.
mean,
But
that's
it's like, yeah.
ew.
But I'm constantly seeing the prequel trilogy on VHS. But I'm like, if I'm going to buy the prequel trilogy, I'm just going to buy DVDs. I don't. There's no point whatsoever in buying those VHS.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's very few movies that there's any point in buying VHS.
Yeah.
If it's available DVD, buy it on DVD. If not, get then get the VHS. But the only movie really that in existence that you have to get on VHS is the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, but there have been a lot of. I haven't really watched any of them, but I hear Star Wars, the later seasons of Clone Wars is good. I hear
Yeah,
Rebels is really good.
yeah,
Um, Force
yeah.
Awakens came out, and I really liked that. I really quite liked Last Jedi. Rogue
I
One, I
like
thought.
Rogue One.
Rogue One, I don't think is good, but I enjoyed it well enough. It's just got a lot of character and narrative problems that just kind of stick in my craw.
Yeah. Well,
Overall, I
I was
still
actually
enjoyed
there was actually an interview on IO9 the other day about Rogue One. It was with the person who was brought in to do a whole bunch of last minute
Oh yeah,
reshoots
yeah, yeah.
in order to fix the movie.
I
And
I love how
yeah,
gun for hire that dude comes across as. He's like, I ain't got no love for Star Wars. I'm like, whatever.
yeah,
It's really
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
So
it was so clear that that movie got significantly re-edited just because um, stuff you saw in some of the early trailers was no longer there.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
when she runs out on the gangplank or whatever it is, and the Tie Fighter
yeah,
pops up in
that's
front
not
of
in the
her.
movie.
That's not in there. Yeah.
There's a scene where it looks like she gets the black box and gets out of the tower and is running along the beach with the rest of her friends. That's not in the movie either. She
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah,
they really
and
mixed things up.
yeah, and according to that guy, it was basically his idea to kill everybody. It's like there's no way you can do this without just killing everybody, because apparently they were trying to keep at least some of them alive, but he's just like, nope, they're all dead. I
Nope.
don't care.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
still, I don't hate Rogue One.
yeah, it
I think
has
it's
its flaws,
entertaining.
but
I just
I
think it
thought it
has some
was.
pretty major flaws.
Yeah, I still think it's it's definitely way better than the prequel trilogies.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, I like it more than the Force Awakens,
Oh
but
really?
just because it's that different, because it's a different style of
I
story.
will definitely
Yeah,
grant you that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's to me it definitely has a lot more action and a lot more fun action
Mhm.
than the Force Awakens had. At least as far as I was concerned. But yeah, I think the Force Awakens' biggest weakness is the fact that it rehashes a lot from the original trilogy. But
Yeah.
overall, I understand and appreciate why they did that, because yeah, they had to bring back the fans, convince them that they could do Star Wars right. So,
Yeah, yeah. Especially after the prequels, it's like, no, no, no. We know what you like and love. You love the original Star Wars, and this is so totally original Star Wars and not prequel Star Wars. Look
yeah.
how original Star Wars this is, and it was totally not original. It was original in the sense that you're aping the original, but
Yeah,
luckily that they're like, okay, now that we've got your attention and we all love Star Wars again, now we can try new things with these side story stuff like Rogue One, and we can try completely new things in Last Jedi to various successes. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm excited about Star Wars. Ryan Johnson, I guess his name is the guy
yeah.
who did
The
um,
Force Awakens,
no, the
or
Last
the
Jedi.
Last Jedi.
He
Yeah,
apparently is contracted to
J.J.
do his
Abrams.
own trilogy. Yeah, J.J.
Yeah,
Abrams is doing 7 and 9.
yeah,
Um, so I'm I mean, he did something so unique with Last Jedi. I'm really interested to see him work within the Star Wars universe, but just outside the trappings of Skywalker and
Yeah,
all the new things established by the new trilogy of films. So that's
definitely. Yeah.
I like the idea of these side stories like Rogue One. I do wish they'd branch out a bit further because Rogue One was about as close as I want it to get. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they're doing let's do Han Solo, the origin. I'm like, I don't care. Let's
Yeah.
do Ben Kenobi, the origin. Let's do Yoda and Boba Fett and Jabba. I'm like, oh my god, just Star Wars should not revolve around the same damn people. The galaxy's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Go to the outer rim. The outer rim. There's got to be something interesting happening over there.
There's got to be, because that's what everybody's in the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi. Their whole big thing is we got to get the message out to the outer rim, because
that's where everyone retreated to when the First Order
showed up. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Still not totally clear on what the First Order actually is, or how large it is, or how influential it is. I mean, I think we've got a better picture, and thanks to Last Jedi, that it's pretty much like the status quo in the galaxy now.
Yeah.
Because it blew up the Republic.
Yeah, blew up Coruscant in the first movie in Force Awakens.
Was it Coruscant? Because it was like the Hosnian system. Is that where Coruscant is?
I think so.
I don't know.
Pretty sure it was Coruscant. That they blew up, but yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to start paging through the Wikipedia again and make sure we got all our very, very important Star Wars facts straight.
Yeah, I still need to know what happened to Deathstick's kid from which one of the Clone Wars movie? Do you want to buy some Death Sticks? You want to go home and rethink your life.
Seriously, that's what one of the new side stories should be. That person just, I'm home. I'm rethinking what does this person go on to do?
Yeah, and does he keep the name Sleazebago? Because that's his official name, is Sleazebago. Does he change his name?
Evan Sleazebago. It's like, okay, I got to rethink my life. First of all, I need to change my name.
My parents were so mean.
Because I feel my name kind of puts me in a box, I mean, it might make sense for an action figure, but
yeah,
or the naming convention in a piece of child's entertainment. But yeah, so yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough out of us for one evening. Let's plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell my last name. Plug it into YouTube, and you can find lovely videos like these podcasts. Did a video last year, or year before, whenever Star Wars came out, Force Awakens, about the 5 things I love about Force Awakens and the 5 things I don't. I liked that video, and so go watch it. I hope you like it too. I recorded 3 new debut reviews this afternoon, so I'll be editing those and releasing them over the next week or so. So look forward to those. I watched the new Lupin the Third. Something called a Magical Girl Ore, which I guess is Magical Girl Guy. Imagine a big buff beefcake of a man in a frilly magical girl dress. That's what it is. It's a great idea. The idea is good. And that's all I'll tell you. You'll have to see the debut review. And then another one is some harem anime that has a weird title that doesn't make any sense to me. It's called like, yeah, I don't know. It had a weird title. It's got Angle in the title. And I first read, I thought it was Angel. And then I looked and no, that says Angle. And then I looked it up to make sure that Crunchyroll wasn't misspelling the title of the show. And no, it's like Love to Live Angle or something. It's some weird title. So I have those in the hopper, and I'm editing those, and those will be around soon. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen and listen to me complain about DLC. So, Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about video gaming and politics and other things. Then you can follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com, where I make video games. And just recently, I open sourced a bunch of my old game projects, so you can check those out if you're interested. They're hosted at GitHub. There's links all over that Twitter for it. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com.
Oh, and one last point. If you saw extra credits this week, they had a really interesting talk about ethical game design. And a distinction they made that I'd never considered before, but I think it's a really good one, is you should try to a game developer should endeavor to make their game engaging but not addictive. You know, you do want the player to be engaged so that they keep playing your game, but if you're going to towards addicting your player, then that's where you're ethically going wrong. And I thought that was a really interesting. They phrase it a lot better than I do. I think that was this week.
This week was Impractical Research: How Academia Can Make Better Games.
It wasn't. Yeah, I think it's in that one. It's just not the larger point of the episode. It's just something
because it does sound like it sounds like a topic that they've actually touched upon in the past.
They have. The ethical game design is something they've gone into in the past. But in this video somewhere, they talk about.
They talk about
sourcing academia to research things like game addiction or whatever.
They talk about that, how to use sociology to make better games and stuff like that.
And I just thought that distinction between addictive games and engaging games, if that's the word they chose to use, was just a really interesting distinction, because you do want your game to be fun and interesting and attractive and to make people want to play them. But if you're using really scummy, underhanded tactics to crowbar every dime out of them by using gambling mechanics and stuff, that's where we get into touchy issues. So I thought it was just like a single line from a 6-7 minute video that stuck out to me. So there you go, free plug for extra credits. So there we go. But you can
definitely a fun channel to watch. Their extra history and stuff is fun. I like watching those. They did one on the Triangle Factory fire or something like that. Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire.
Check that out. I'm like so behind on that.
And their extra sci-fi series that they're doing right now, where they're exploring
all
the sci-fi authors of the past.
I saw the very first one, and
I love it. I'm loving it because they're talking. They've talked about authors that I've read and loved in the past, and then now they
started with Mary Shelley, right?
Yeah, they started with Mary Shelley. They did Jules Verne, and they did H.G. Wells, and then they've done Ray Bradbury, and then now they're doing a bunch of authors that are less known but made significant strides in sci-fi literature, so that have impacted sci-fi since they were published. So definitely a good series to watch. I'm enjoying that one.
Cool. All right, so that is truly, totally, in all seriousness, that's it from us tonight. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, and you'll come back and keep us company next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.